Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. Let's take a look at how much I tabbed these books. I also highlighted while I was reading. I don't know where to start. I finished Vow of Thieves like 2 or 3 days ago, and let me tell you, I have no notes because I am still coming down to earth. As always, the first part of this video is going to be spoiler free, and the second part of this video is going to be spoiler full. So if you want to talk about the nitty-gritty details, skip to this time frame. And if you just want to review on if you should read this book, then watch the beginning of it. I'll give you a warning before the spoilers start. We'll start with my ratings of these books. Dance of Thieves, 5 out of 5 stars. Vow of Thieves, originally when I finished it, I had given it 5 out of 5 stars. But in comparison to the first book, this is getting like a 4.8 just because I can't say that. Both of these books, so incredibly all-consuming. I have recommended this duology already to like 2 or 3 of my friends, and I wasn't even done with it yet. What you have to know, and you have to be very disciplined, the beginning of Dance of Thieves is all world building, and it is bad. There is not a single ounce of entertainment in it. I'm not even joking when I say that. You just have to get to page 85. Once you get to page 85, you know, should you read this book? Absolutely. If you like fantasy, absolutely. I like 1000% recommend this duology. The way that Miss Pearson writes details and descriptions, it will take your breath away. Like, so many times throughout these books, I was highlighting beautiful descriptions. Like, I was highlighting fragments of sentences that just like were sewn together so perfectly. The storyline had me by the neck the whole time. I was intrigued, I was in it, I was fighting, I was feeling all the feelings. This is my raw reaction to this book. I took no notes because I was so enthralled in the storyline, in the world, in the characters. Let me say this, trigger warning, moms. My mom passed away recently, so that is a trigger to me. Like, any mom stuff, I'm like triggered. So, trigger warning, moms. I don't know if this is like considered like, in my book, fantasy, because there's not too many elements of fantasy. There's like micro elements of fantasy sewn into the story. It's not like, boom, fantasy like in your face. It follows Kazi. I don't want to say anything about it. You know what, read the back. If you like that, read this. And if you didn't like that, if the blurb on the back is not enough to capture your interest, read it anyway. If you like fantasy, if you like slow burn. One thing about me, I love fantasy with politics involved. These books are just so perfectly, thoroughly, and beautifully written. There is not an ounce of me that regrets reading these. I am very happy, very satisfied. And you know what? I'll tell you what. In 2021, I picked this duology up. So I bought both of these at Barnes & Noble because the covers caught my eye. The covers are stunning. The covers caught my eye. I bought the books. I started reading Dance of Thieves right away. I literally got to a point in the beginning where I was like, this is so incredibly painfully boring. I cannot read this book. Like, I am so sorry. I'm gonna DNF it. And I don't DNF stuff. Like, I will push through to the end because I hate leaving stuff half done, half finished. Very rarely will I DNF a book. So I DNF'd it. Flash forward to this year. One of my good friends sent me a book package with these 2 books, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, now I have to read them. Now I have to just push through and do it. I had some inkling that it was about to get really good. Why did it just get dark? I pick the book up, and I decide not to start over because I was not trying to put myself through that again. I pick the book up, I start reading. Next page, it gets good. Next page, I'm hooked. I am so violently hooked on the story. I was like, next page. You know what I felt like? I felt like that meme of the guy like digging underground, and then he's like turning around sad, and there's like diamonds. He's like so close to diamonds, and there's like a guy above him like feverishly picking because he knows he's gonna. That's what I felt like, and it was painful because I had held off this story from myself, and it is too good. It is too good not to push through the beginning. I said these were 5 stars, and my Pinterest board is made, my Spotify playlist is made, like through and through. 5-star duology through and through. So if you want to read it, read it. If you don't want to read it anyway. Let's get into the spoiler full version of this review. Kazi and Jace. I don't think that I have rooted for 2 characters in a couple so aggressively before. In Cruel Prince, I very much was on Jude's side. Like, I am a Jude fan girl, you know what I'm saying? With Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves, they're literally getting bent over, both of them, Kazi and Jace, they're getting bent over until the end of the story. Like, I so passionately wanted them both to succeed, to survive, to see each other again. Oh my gosh. In the beginning of this video, I said that Dance of Thieves was a 5 out of 5 and Vow of Thieves was a 4.8-ish for me. The reason that I actually docked points after I was able to sit with my feelings for a couple days is because Vow of Thieves at some points felt so dry because I'm such a Jace and Kazi fangirl that almost the entirety of this book is not them. It's them individually, but they're separated. So there's like no storyline with them, and they're just like keeping each other's memory alive and like trying to push through. And like, don't get me wrong, the storyline had me by the neck the whole time. I was intrigued, I was in it, I was fighting, I was feeling all the feelings. I was like craving Jace and Kazi so bad. The end made up for it. My favorite part, not my favorite part, one of my favorite parts right here. She's my wife. And she is my wife. Like, the passion, I can't. I'm like in love with their love. I'm obsessed with the brokenness that she brought to the table, and he was just like, that's chill, like, I love you. I also loved the fear of like, I love you so much, but you're leaving because you're like a literal soldier, and I am like the king of my people, and I like can't, how is it gonna work? It's impossible. So I was so satisfied with the way that the meeting with the queen went. Like, honestly, the Queen of Venda's going to heaven. Like, matchmaker made in heaven. I could kiss her for the way that she like orchestrated everybody's happiness. Also at the end of Vow of Thieves, where she literally assigned Ren and Sinove to where Kazi and Jace were gonna live the rest of their lives. Like, I am so satisfied with that idea that now they're all happy, they're all together. Like, okay, also let's talk about Ren, Sinove, and Kazi. Like, everything about them, obsessed. I love nothing more than a strong, powerful female character that has perfected her craft, whatever the craft is, good or bad, I don't really care, and has life by the neck. That's my favorite type of book. That's my favorite type of character. The villains in this book, so good. I was like this far into Vow of Thieves, and I still was like, okay, there's about 4 to 5 big questions that still need to be answered. So how is that going to be wrapped up in a satisfying way without feeling rushed? Everything was wrapped with a bow on top. Nothing felt rushed. I was so satisfied with the way that Mary E. Pearson presented everything in a smooth, loving way. My mom recently passed away, so that ending of Kazi and her mom and her being able to kind of like close that door in her life, just again the way that Mary E. Pearson wrote things. Like, let me see, I highlighted so many parts of when Kazi met her mom's grave because it spoke to me in such a deep way. And like, obviously it's gonna speak to you differently if you don't have mom stuff. This is Kazi speaking. It was you, wasn't it, not letting me go? I spoke as if she could hear me because I was certain she could. That is like, I'm not gonna cry, but the way I do that, like, that's probably way TMI, but like, or when she says, I whispered to the wind, that resonates. The part at the end where they were getting married again and she said that she saw 2 other witnesses that no one else could see. obviously death, but then her mom, and she said that she stared at the woman so long, memorizing the lines in her face, the warmth on her skin. Like, personally, these two books helped me heal a little bit more from life. So maybe that's why I'm so emotionally, like, moved by these books, because they affected me. You can't get past the amazing storyline. The writing is just beyond. I'm a big fat fan of this duology. Thank you, Mary E. Pearson. Everyone say thank you. If you haven't read these books and you watch the spoiler full version, I strongly suggest you do read them. Even if a whole bunch of stuff was spoiled just now, it's not the entire experience that you get reading this book. So yeah, thanks for watching if you did. Let me know in the comments if you read this book, what your thoughts are. If you hated it, I'm actually curious to know why you hated it and why you weren't such a big fan, because honestly, I don't know how anyone couldn't like this duology. Like and subscribe, all that ugly stuff. Thanks for watching.